The title of the podcast is I'm Just Trying to Tell a Story.
Okay.
And the concept of it is like building out teams and systems and processes is like, it's boring as shit. It's like the least sexy thing in the world. In fact, I was speaking to a client of mine, William, and he was talking about his business that I helped him build over the past 18 months. And he's built a program similar to mine, but it's like specific to coders. He was talking about focus sessions and he was talking about quarterly rocks and stuff and paying attention to like your objectives, and all of that was successful. And then the one session that he has around building systems, no one shows up to. and I was laughing because I was like, man, I know, because systems it's just not sexy, but it truly is like the most important part of a business that has traction, right? Of course, the first part of a business is to like come up with a good idea and make sure that you've got a proof of concept and you can deliver that idea, right? And that you can sell and market yourself. But once you get traction, it's all about systems and team. In this podcast, the intention is to share like what it's really about, because it's not about systems. It's not about team. It's about the stories that come from when you do it right. So I want to share a story that I tell in the workflow workshop. And I think I might refer to it in the Beating Burnout as well, which is the story of your wedding. Because like when you came back and told me about your wedding, dude, and fuck it, like I guess we're starting the podcast now because like, dude, whenever you do a podcast, you ever notice that like the chat beforehand sometimes is like, it's like better, like, shit, we should have been recording that. It's like, fuck it, like we'll go. And I like these things to be real as opposed to like performances and shit, designed to be raw. Anyways, so like the story of your wedding and when you came back and shared with me like the experience that you had, like the connection that you had with your wife, the presence that you had, and what happened during the wedding, that things don't always go right. Let's start at the part right before the wedding. Me and you had a session about, okay, what happens? What do I do? How do I handle it if things go wrong? It was more so like, really about presence. So share with me like the part of the story, like right before the wedding, like what you were feeling, what we talked about in that session. And then let's talk about the wedding and the honeymoon, and then the conversation we had when you got back.
It was, I think we had this conversation in December, and I was about to get married in Jan 14th to be precise, this year itself. I was worried that, first of all, okay, fine, we're working on the business. The last conversation that we had in December, we were still running this challenge funnel wherein I was spending like 5 hours a week to run the funnel. And then I was like, okay, we had a plan in place to automate it. That, okay, fine, it's going to be an automation because when I travel, my work shouldn't stop. So that part was in plan. And then I was worried, okay, fine, I'm going to be getting married. What if things go wrong? And then I also got to go and travel with my wife, on a honeymoon. What if I end up working there? Or what if I'm always on calls? Or what if I keep checking my notifications? I wouldn't be able to be present with her. And I knew this, that, okay, everything is planned, but what if something goes wrong during the wedding? How would I be able to handle it? So I was worried. I was confused. I didn't know what to do. In fact, I thought I was trying too much I was preparing to prepare. I was trying too much to prepare for it. Okay. But then, so that's how it was. And I remember when you said to me that just live the moment, be in the present, fuck everything else. This is your day and things will go wrong. So just accept it and surrender to it. You can't fight it. Just surrender to it and, just live in the moment and just feel it. That's exactly what I did. So during the wedding, it was awesome. I still have that. And thank you for asking that. It's actually so enriching for me to think that, thinking of all of that, she enters, everything is going great. And then something went wrong with my wife's hair. So she had a lot of pins along with what she was wearing. And one of these pins was getting very uncomfortable for her. So she got very irritated with the makeup artist, and a few of her relatives also said something weird about it, the hair and whatever. So she got really worried, and then she had to go to the washroom, and she was fixing it. Everyone was asking me, where is she? We want to have dinner and all of that. So everything was going really messy at that point of time for like 1 hour straight, it was weird. And I was the only one. So the groom's sitting with everyone and everyone's asking for the wife. I go to the washroom, I see she's irritated, she's worried, she's getting it fixed. And then I come back and I'm telling my parents that everything is fine, something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And there was this point wherein I thought to myself, I was literally thinking about you. I'm sitting and I'm waiting for her to come and I'm thinking, okay, Spencer said that things will go wrong. This is what he meant. And I just got to surrender to it. And that's totally fine. And then yeah, she came back and everything was great. Then a day after that, we went for a honeymoon. That was the first week we planned that we'll run our entire funnel in automation for the coaching business that we run. The entire funnel ran in automation. It was great. For the next couple of days, I was not carrying my laptop. And that was, I think, that was the first vacation wherein I was not carrying my laptop. So
did you bring the laptop with you at least?
No.
So you went on your honeymoon and you actually did not bring the laptop in your suitcase in your bag or anything like that?
Yeah, I didn't.
The notion that like whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and how do you handle it? As an athlete, you train certain exercises and certain strength training exercises, flexibility exercises. So when something happens in real life, you can prepare for it. And I feel like in entrepreneurship, it's kind of the same thing, where it's like whatever can go wrong will go wrong, which is probably why we often take our computers, our phones, our tablets on vacation with us, because we don't trust in things going properly.
Yeah.
And so I find it interesting is like the muscles that you build as a risk-taking entrepreneur of dealing with the unexpected and being able to be just really even keeled throughout the whole thing and looking at things objectively and be like, okay, what's going on right now? What are the steps that we can take to fix this? And how do we surrender to the moment and just like love it for what it is? I think a lot of these skills that we learn both in like mindset and in like dealing with team, which is basically an exercise of dealing with people, are so relevant to real life things that make you a better man, that make you a better husband, that make you a better friend, and eventually a better father. I want to go back as well as like, we started working together, what is it, 18 months ago?
Yeah.
How long has it been?
Yeah, I think it's been close to that. You're right. 1.5 years. Right.
Yeah. And now we just started working together. Like you just became the head coach of my Level Up program. And what's been awesome is when we first met, you had a successful business in teaching people how to build e-commerce businesses, specifically t-shirts, right? Correct? Yeah. I want to get to the point, like we kind of glossed over that, like you're running your funnel in 5 hours a week now. So that's huge. When you started, the marketing strategy was to be doing 5-day challenges, right? You were running those challenges like live every single week. And another thing that's not very sexy that like I'm like shouting from the mountaintops and just like hoping people will hear is just the importance of the calendar and like what your calendar tells you about your business, about your life. And when we first started working it together, like just like in every session, first thing I do is like, all right, share that screen. Show me your calendar. Like what are you paying attention to? Like what's taking up the real estate in your mind? What are the things that you're focusing on? Because that tells you everything. It tells you like where your stress is at. It tells you where the opportunities are for you to scale and to build systems. So share with me a little bit of the journey of what the funnel looked like and how you got to the point of having a successful, I don't know what you guys' top line is now, but your guys' top line increased while you decreased the amount of time that you spent. I think when you started it was like 25 or 30 hours a week in the funnel. So I'm fascinated to revisit that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question actually. So when you were speaking about the calendar, I remember the first time I was thinking about this today actually. But while I was driving to this place, I was thinking that the first time when I saw you, it was in another group mentorship program, and we were put in a breakout room. Okay. And you were talking about something which was like, I had no idea about it. You used a word which I could not understand. I think it was the word systems, if I'm not wrong. It's about building systems and all of that. It was something similar to that. I literally
workflow maybe.
Yeah. You use the word workflow, exactly, workflow and all of that. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And then you gave me an answer and I found it really intriguing. Then I reached out to you personally. We had a conversation. I was at a point in my life at that point wherein I felt I was working really hard and I wasn't achieving what I really deserved. Everyone on my team was dependent on me. And then I was spending a lot of time on running this business. It felt like a job. That's how it was, literally. And I was like, effed up. I'm not able to find accountability. I don't know what to do. I used to fill diaries. I used to have a lot of diaries, and my friends used to make fun of me that I keep writing and I keep planning. But when it came to action, I was not very happy with myself. Then we started working together. I became a part of Level Up. In Level Up and after the one-on-one sessions, I started maintaining a calendar, and I still do. I do that till date. In fact, now a lot of my team members have also started doing that. Since I'm using the calendar, things have changed absolutely. In fact, I think that's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my business in the last couple of years, because now I plan things out. I am running multiple projects like always. In fact, I had this problem as well back then when I told you that is it okay for me to run multiple projects, or should I just focus on one? Because gurus say that just focus on one thing, make it big. But you were the first one who told me that it's fine to have multiple projects. You just want to manage them well. And you want to dedicate a fixed amount of time, or just, of course, your attention is going to be divided, but it's totally your choice. I followed your advice. We did that. At that point of time in our e-commerce education business, I think we were doing close to $20,000-$30,000 a month. I think that's where we were back then. Currently, we are somewhere between $60,000 to $80,000 a month.
Oh,
so it's
shit.
almost,
Okay.
yeah, so we're close to 60 to 80. Like a couple months back, we had 100K, but then now, we're building some systems for marketing. But the cool thing is, I'll tell you what's the best thing. I was spending so much time every single week doing so many calls with the team. Not so 5 hours was just being spent to run the funnel. Then there were 2 hour, 2 hour calls with the founders, and then another 3 hours one-on-one calls with the team. So, we broke that down, reduced the number of calls, automated 5-day funnel completely. In fact, everything since the last 6-7 months, actually, since the last 9 months now, since I've been married, the entire funnel has been on automation from day one. The onboarding, the mid check-in, the pitch webinar, everything is automated, and it's pretty awesome. And not just the webinars. We've built systems wherein we have an operator who leads the entire funnel, who takes care of the funnel. We have a sales team in place. So we've created this process wherein you just send the leads, and then people get converted to we pitch them the signature program, and it converts well. So it's been awesome. It's like thinking about my vacation. So I went to a 2-week vacation recently, a couple months back actually. And in those 2 weeks, again, this was after my honeymoon. I was not carrying my laptop. In fact, not just me, I had my business partners with me as well. Okay. These guys were not carrying their laptops as well. Okay.
Oh, wow.
None of us were carrying our laptops. There were like 10 of us. We were traveling to somewhere for 14 days. And in those 14 days, I think we did a revenue of $15,000-$20,000. And none of us did anything. We did not, of course, we were in touch with the team on WhatsApp and whatever, but it was just to get updates and they sharing what's going on. But otherwise,
Sure.
everything was being taken care of by the team. So in fact, I was writing this down, automating the challenge, and then my productivity, my performance, it went up. My calendar thingy, it went up. And you used this word that systems and processes are not sexy. I think systems and processes are the sexiest thing in the world, because now I'm working on this new e-commerce brand. It's very new right now. It's like a baby. But every single day when I'm working on it, I'm asking myself, I'm thinking, okay, I know that I'm doing this today, but I don't want to do this in the next couple of weeks. So how do I systemize this? So now we're documenting everything. My team is being trained in a way that they can train the next set of hires we make. All the conversations are documented. I'm trying to get myself out of the loop so that I don't work in the business, so that I can work on the business by seeing a 30,000 feet overview. So it's just awesome. I've been traveling since then. I mentioned the 14-day trip with this new brand that we're running. We're building systems and processes, and I'm just falling in love with it.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the other brands. So I love what you brought up before, which was you asked, is it okay for me to work on multiple projects? Because as like most entrepreneurs are, we have shiny object syndrome and we're easily bored. And that's what happens, right? Like you're working full-time on a business that was doing 20 to 30,000. Then the purpose of us automating that was not necessarily to automate it. That was actually the solution to what the purpose was. And the purpose is you wanted to start learning how to build brands. Correct. And you also had ideas to be doing one-on-one coaching and to build a new t-shirt company and to start dancing more and up your game and working out. And it became like, I always say to the clients that we work with, it's like, treat us like a magic genie. Just like, whisper your wish inside of the bottle, and then we'll put it into the machine, and we'll use proper systems and processes and teams and relationships to make it happen. And so instead of saying, hey, put your nose to the grindstone, burn the midnight oil, focus on this one thing, build, build, build. It's like, to what point? You know what I mean? Because there comes this point with money where you stop thinking about it so much. Once you're able to pay your bills and save for retirement and
you're right.
Whatever the hell you want to do, you stop thinking about it so much. So it becomes more about living than it becomes like preparing for the retirement. Because I'll tell you what, dude, I like when I was just like 17, I remember saying to my girlfriend's dad, I'm like, I'm going to retire when I'm 30. He's like, no, you won't. And of course, like, I'm just like full dick at 17 and just like, just waiting for people to doubt me. And I'm like, well, you don't believe me? And he's like, I believe that you would be able to. He's like, I just don't think you will, because the idea of feet in the sand and drinking a margarita and sitting in the sun and that idea of like retirement, right? Once you get there, because I live in Costa Rica and I was working 15 hours a week. After about 2 weeks, dude, I was miserable. Like, you're just not engaged. And like, entrepreneurs are like sled dogs. Like, we need something to do. Correct. Right. But also it's like, we get to this point where it's like, we shun the notion of a 9 to 5. We want to build our own business, but then end up building like a prison of our own creation where we're working 24/7. And then it's like, oh man, I'm spending so much time on this thing, this baby that became a behemoth. And now I want to do other things. So that's actually where our conversation started. It was like, you had these other dreams and we're like, we reverse engineered the vision into step-by-step instructions on, okay, here's how we're going to automate the business. Here is how we're going to automate the management of the business. So not just the funnel, but how do we have meetings in a way where everything that gets discussed gets executed? How do we reduce the amount of time that we're spending in meetings so the team has time to actually do their freaking job? And what's awesome is once we got that funnel and that side of the business automated, then you were able to start your podcast and your marketing. Like, I'm inspired by your marketing. Like your marketing became like, so just like so much more fun. The videos of you popping and locking and stuff like, dude, when I saw all of those, you went from someone who was like working diligently at the business to what I noticed, your wife noticed at your honeymoon is like, you started like having fun again. And when you're able to reduce the amount of like potential dangers in your day to day through building a system that creates trust in your organization, it just opens you up. And I can't wait to the end, like the end of the story where like, I think you remember, like I was crying at the end of your,
I know. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember
so
that. Yeah.
You were talking about the trip that you were on. And I just want to touch on this, and then I want you to continue the story. Is like, you not only did you start taking trips where you left your computer at home, which not even bring it, dude. Like, I haven't even got there yet. I've gone on trips where I've like, of course, like it didn't work at all, but did I still bring my computer? Yeah, maybe it's like a little safety net. So I'm definitely going to have that box of check now. You've inspired me. But what's so dope, dude, you like built that in the culture of your company. So like, you and the members of your team went on vacation and no one brought their stuff. Like, yeah. All right. So go on. Go on with that. Story.
It's actually so good because I was the first one in my entire company amongst my founders and everyone who was using a calendar. And when I started doing that, I was all crazy about it. I used to share it in my team meetings. I used to tell people about this. Then my business partner started using a calendar. Then my head coach started using the calendar. And then we introduced the calendar for our program members as well, so that the Q&A call schedule could get added in their calendars and all of that.
Right.
So we started doing all of that. And that's what people have told me, it's revolutionary. Since they've done it, it's actually, it's crazy. It's changed the game for everyone, for all of us. It's such a simple thing, but I think simplicity is the sexiest thing out there, right? It actually helps you get it done because, and you're right, but like once you plan it, you said something really nice. It's really important that what occupies the real estate in here. So yeah. And while working together, I was taking notes while you were saying this because I just realized I had forgotten all of this. There are so many things that we've done. Like, first, I remember coming to you and telling you that here's the thing, I'm selling in the Indian market and we have a $450 product, and I feel that our average order value is not that much and we want to make more money. And you were like, okay, great. You how many customers do you have, blah blah blah, what is the average order value, blah blah blah. Okay, you did some math, and I think it was about the 80-20 principle, somewhat related to that. And then you said, okay, fine, there are these many people in your audience who have the capacity to pay you XYZ amount of money each. I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. You know what we did? We came up with a mastermind, which we sold for an expensive price. And I invited you to that mastermind, and I told you took a guest session for our mastermind, if you remember that. Yeah. And I said to you that, this is a brainchild of what the discussion that we had that day. And it happened. Then we thought about launching a one-on-one coaching, and we did it. I had done one-on-one coaching before, but it was all messed up. I felt very guilty. I was trying to give my clients everything in the world, taking all the responsibility. But after that, my mindset changed and I built a system around it. We had an onboarding call in place, expectation management on the first call, very clear about what the deliverables are going to be, very clear about what it's not going to be. In fact, now in our company, we offer one-on-one coaching for like $3,000 for like 3 months. And I'll tell you the great thing. We provide 6 calls. All of those calls are taken by our head coach. I don't take any calls. There's just onboarding, mid-check and deboarding, 30 minutes each that I take just to keep in touch with them and see how's it going. And it's great. All the calls are being handled by a head coach. And it's like pretty good. Apart from that, like the working out, I've been consistent with that. There's one thing that you shared with me before that, you were talking about that every entrepreneur reaches a stage when it's not all about money. You want to do something that's fun. And I've taken this from you, that you always want to do something that sets your soul on fire. And this is one question that I've always asked myself. And this actually becomes so much fun. My wife's like, dude, if given an option, you can do what you do like 24 hours a day. You're so fucking obsessed with it. And I am, and I love it. But of course, while maintaining a balance and all. So that's right. We started a podcast while you were working together. The podcast has crossed 20,000 downloads. And we have a system in place for that as well. There's someone who manages posting them, market. We have a system in place for sharing the podcast and cutting it into pieces, going on YouTube, tagging people, blah, blah, blah. We have a system for that. Our Instagram following doubled almost through strategic content and all of that. We started a channel. The channel is close to 9,000 subscribers right now. And it's not about subscribers. I'm not focused on subscribers, but the content's been consistently going on because of the systems we've created with our social media team. The brand, the e-commerce brand that we started, I remember telling you that, okay, the website's ready. Tell me how the website looks. And it's been 7 months, 7 months since we went live. We had our best month. This month we're having a best month for both the stores that we're running in India and in US, both of them. And we're building systems around that as well. And talking about the team, there's another thing that I learned. I was telling you that we want to hire someone. Where do I hire people from? And you said to me that the best hires that I've made, dude, I've done it from my own community, from my own program members. That's exactly what I did. Everyone in my team, apart from one lady, comes from my program. And, they respect us so much. They love us so much. They vibe with us, and it's just beautiful. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Damn. So I had to write some things down because that was an avalanche of success. And to kind of bring it back to where it started, what makes all of this possible is the management of the most precious asset on the planet right now, because it's not gold, it's not information. The most precious asset on the planet is attention. Correct. And when it comes to wealth is in direct proportion to whomever manages assets best. And with attention, it's similar to any other asset, which is information and cash. And when it comes to information and cash, we all know that the better that it's organized, the better we can leverage it. This is why I tell all the entrepreneurs is get your finances straight, know your numbers. Because if you don't, you're fucked. There's no way around it. And so you need a ledger to manage those numbers, in that we use Xero or QuickBooks or whatever. So we can draw reports and we can project out budgets and then manage the entries precisely, and then be able to run reports so we can see where we're leaking cash and where we've got some extra cash to reinvest. Same thing goes with information, is like having it properly organized so you've got access to information for you to solve problems. That's the whole concept around bookmarks, right? Is like having quick access to your information, to your data, right? And with information like your Facebook ads and your Google AdWords and AdSense and stuff like that, is having analytics and having it very well organized. That's why Apple and Facebook are crushing it, because they manage information better than anyone. But also why those tech companies are crushing it is because they also understand and manage and track your attention, where your eyeballs go, where your brain space is, better than any other companies on the planet. They anticipate what you want to purchase before you even know it, because they're tracking your attention so well. And the calendar is, when you say like, I operate in my calendar, I want to be clear what that means to people, because unless you've gone through our calendar training and Level Up, you might not understand. But a lot of people use their calendar to put things on there like, oh, it's Nish's birthday. And it's like, oh, I've got my bowling league on Thursday nights, and, or maybe a webinar that they may or may not attend. Or they use it just as an appointment book where it's like, hey, book a session with me by clicking this link, and then it schedules and puts it in there. A calendar is so much more than that. Really what a calendar is, it is a ledger of which tracks where you put your attention. And attention being the most precious resource that we have, is like, once we can see in your calendar, like, where has your attention been going? Where are you leaking attention? Where are you putting your attention that's not giving you the satisfaction that you want, whether it's in money or in joy and stuff like that? You might be taking sales calls and you don't like sales calls, but it brings you money. Well, it's like, okay, it's bringing you money, but it's not bringing you joy. And so maintaining your calendar in the way that we do it in Level Up truly is, it's the thing that matters most. And it's what everything funnels down to. Like all the crazy like ClickUp stuff and the automations and the hiring and the onboarding, all that stuff deduces down to, what are you supposed to be doing when you wake up? What do you do next? What do you do next? When you build a culture that values your attention, at that point, we can start moving pieces around in order for you to be able to living truly the entrepreneurial dream, homie. Like seriously, you've got an automated business. You've been on vacation since the last time you were on vacation, since you got married. Your team has grown. You've built brands. You built followings. You built a podcast. You built a t-shirt company. Shit, dude, this is in the last year. You know what I mean? On top of which, you went from working 30 hours a week on a funnel that's doing 20K to working 5 hours a week to a funnel that's doing 80K. Like what? Like that's truly like scaling your attention. And it starts with the calendar. There was two other things too that I wanted to touch on, is like that people might have questions on, is like the 80-20 thing. So it's like, yeah, you had 1,000 customers, 10,000 customers that paid you $400. So the 80-20 principle is that if you've got people paying you $1,000, then 20% of those people are willing to pay you 4 times that. Create an offer for a $4,000 offer that 20% of the people will take you up on that. So now 200 people are paying $4,000. Now it keeps on going. Now you've got 200 people paying $4,000. Of that, 20% of those people will pay you 4x on that. 20% of 200 is 40. 40 people will pay you 16,000. 4 times 4, 16.
Well, 1,600 into 48. Yeah.
Yeah, right. 1,600. And then 20% of those people. So there's 8 people that are willing to pay you 4x on that, which I believe is 48,000 or 4,800 or something like that. Yeah. So anyways, in looking in increasing your overall money, if you have your overall sales, if you have over 100 people that are paying you a certain amount of money, it's like creating an offer at 4x and then having a clear expectation of how many people can be in that offer. So I wanted to get clear, because I think that might have like sparked some people like, what does he mean by this 80-20 thing? And then the other thing, which I think is a good segue for us to get into like the honeymoon and like kind of like the giant release of like our work together, and like you really inspiring me, is the notion of like everything in terms of like tracking and understanding like where you're spending your attention. It comes from the calendar, but like what do you choose to put in the calendar in the first place? And it really does come down to that question of like, what is it that sets your soul on fire? Because that's ultimately what we're here to do. And often, and I believe you've asked me this question too. It's like, what's the meaning of life? And usually people ask me that question when we've got like 5 minutes left on a call. And the meaning and the purpose are two different things. The meaning is up for you to decide, but the purpose is to live a life that is a story worth telling, living a life that the story that you created through the actions that you took and the decisions that you made allow you to entertain, inspire, and educate the next generation so they can stand on the shoulders of what you created and then go create beyond that. And so it's why we don't focus so much of like the entrepreneurial journey on money. It plays a super important role. We talk about it a bunch, but it's not the get more money at all costs. There's only one thing that we do at all costs, which is continually keeping the fire of our soul burning and pouring gasoline on it. I've worked with a bunch of people and we had to bring in a head coach to be the strategic eyes and ears and voice to our clients. And out of everyone that I know, even months and months before we, you joined the team, I knew it was going to be you because like even the last rant that you went on is like, look at all of that progress, man. And you had like the courage to step into the things that set your soul on fire. But one of the things that I super admire about you is like when something works, you stick to it and evangelize it. That's so important because like finding something that works and sticking to it, that's systems, but evangelizing and like sharing it with your community, with your clients, with your team members, that's culture, man. And when you change the culture through the things that you find are successful, you notice that the kingdom that you build, the values that you have are like infused into this reach that you have. It strengthens your ability to, and your resolve to maintain those values as well, which then just makes your business bigger. When you build it into your culture, like it gets deeper ingrained into you and its effect gets wider and wider. I super admire your consistency and conviction with things. And it's so great to know like the work that we do together. I was in the States and now in Costa Rica, that it's like, it's spreading to like India and it's going, going out to other, business owners and stuff. So yeah, I think that's just awesome. So let's get to the point where you're on your honeymoon, because this conversation is really what got me. Explain what you were like on vacation before. I want to know what did your wife expect you to be like on vacation?
Yeah, that's a nice question. So yeah, my wife, before we got married, we had taken some trips together and I always used to carry my laptop. In fact, I remember doing multiple webinars while we used to travel or being on calls or being on social media, sharing stuff on Instagram or whatever. I used to carry my diary as well, to just plan things out and write things up. And she used to say to me that if you carry your laptop after we get married, if you carry your laptop, I'm going to break it. Because there are limited set of things that I can explain her. Like, okay, I can't say to her, I'm building systems, I'm building processes. I can tell her all that. So I said to her that you wait for it. Okay, I promise you it's not going to be this way, because, I really want to free myself up. I don't want to continue just working, because when we get married, I really want to pay a lot of, you're going to have my attention, you're going to have my time. I'm going to love you. I'm going to take care of you, all of that. So yeah, before getting married, it used to be that way, sometimes doing webinars, being on calls, constantly checking my phone for sales notifications or social media and all of that. But now it's very different. Now when I'm traveling, I don't like to work when I'm traveling now, because I feel that, it's not that I don't like my work. I love doing what I do, but I feel that the way my approach has changed is that I've compartmentalized everything that I do. Like when I'm present in my office or when I'm home, whenever I'm working, I'm working. I'm going to give my best. But then when I'm traveling with my loved ones, I'm just traveling with them. I don't want my work to interfere with that experience, because that's beautiful. So now I don't carry my laptop. Mostly 90% of the times I don't. And I just try and be there in the present moment. We just go around, we have fun. That's what we do. I also just try and keep my phone aside so that I don't keep checking notifications and all of that. In fact, this is something that I've been doing now as well. Like once I go home now, I try and just switch off my phone, because I don't want to pay my attention to anything else. So yeah, I mean, that's how it's changed.
I think that we're going to get a bunch of spouses calling us and signing up their significant other to our program where it's like, oh, wait, I can have their attention. Okay. Yeah. So, so let's set up, because when we were talking, as you were preparing to get married, you know, as people will find out in additional stories of the podcast, I used to be a dating, sex, and relationship coach. And so we started focusing it a little bit more as like, how do we set up for success as an entrepreneur with all of these like interests and projects and responsibilities to be a good partner, right? And again, what it comes down to is your attention, right? Because it's interesting, like when people say, I need a vacation, what they think they mean is they want to go somewhere to get away from their work.
Correct.
But if you bring your work with you, it's not a vacation. It's a location change. is all that it is. You just change locations of where you stress yourself out, right? Your commitment was, when I'm at the wedding, I don't want to have my business cap on where it's like find problems, solve problems, find problems, solve problems, preemptively put things in place to make sure that everything goes smooth. It was like, yeah, plan well. And then just like, hey, kick back and just like love the shit out of your girl, man. And I'm interested, like, first of all, like what did you do on your honeymoon and what was your wife's feedback? Because the honeymoon is such an important part of a marriage, because just like any other relationship, like the way that it starts, like sets like 90% of the tone of how it's going to be. Right. And so when it comes to like, hey, we're about to go on this trip and this is the way you can expect your life to be from now on. So it's like, there's a lot of pressure on that. So I'm asking, like, where did you go and what was your wife's like experience and feedback for you when you got back?
So we went to a place called Udaipur here in India because this was the month of Jan and COVID was high. The cases were going down. But yeah, so we finalized a place where the cases were less. And this is a place, West India. And the history of this place is all royals and all of that. So there are lakes and forts and beautiful resorts, villas and all of that. So that's the place that we went to. Now, this was my first trip with my wife without any of my friends. I mean, the both of us hadn't really traveled alone before. So during the honeymoon, it was awesome. You know, we were pretty much there having fun. We had romantic moments and then having great food, traveling to places together. It was great. And then even after coming back, she literally said this to me that I didn't expect the honeymoon to be the way it was. Because, and you know what, I literally asked her that question because I was really excited to get feedback. So I asked her feedback. So she was like, you know what, I don't really like to say a lot of good things about you because you get overexcited or maybe you get overconfident. But yeah, I mean, head it out. It was great. And I really didn't expect you to be so present with me. Yes, you didn't work. You didn't focus anywhere else. You were there with me. You know, that's what she said to me. And she was happy. In fact, I was having this conversation with my wife yesterday. And it's been 9 months since we've gotten married now. We were talking about giving time to each other. And she literally just acknowledged this yesterday as well, that yes, you give me time, you give me time, you give me attention. And I feel really lucky as a wife. And it really feels good. So yeah, that was the feedback and it felt really nice. It was awesome. It was pretty good.
Yeah. And through our work together, especially when we first started working together, you're so good at like projecting out what possibly might go wrong and strategizing around that. It's one of the reasons that I really wanted you on our team is because the 1-2 punch that we have is super powerful because you're incredible at like big picture thinking and strategy and knowing, okay, what needs to happen in order for you to create that thing that you want. And where I'm really strong is in execution and scaling that execution so you can get support and be on to the next thing. The kind of nervousness and the foresight that you had to be like, hey, I don't want my ability to see what might go wrong to ruin this experience. Because often our challenges are our gifts turned too loud, right? And to see you kind of like surrender to the thing that makes you successful, which is to be like looking at problems and solving them and to say, that version of me is not required. Once we signed off for that day and it was time for you to just like get married and go on the honeymoon, it's like a different version of me is required. I'm going to do this because this is what will make the person that's the most important in the world to me happy. And when we spent that session talking about nothing about business, just about like the relationship that you have with your wife and how you can show up your best for her. And then when you came back and you were telling me about just like how things went wrong with her hair and stuff, which at the time seems like a big deal, but probably 10 years down the line, it's like, who remembers?
Yeah.
And in the presence that you had on the vacation and how loved that she felt, where she knows that you have big aspirations and supports you in those. And as reciprocation to your wife being like, thank you for being a partner that stands behind me, that allows me to be able to be this man, have these things, build what I'm building. And for you to be able to pass the ball back and be like taking my time away from, or my attention away from the business and just giving it to you, what that means for her, what that means that for your relationship, what that means for your future children to see like what it is to truly like be a good, successful, like male role model. Dude, like I remember it just like bringing me to tears. I'm getting a little like pulled up again. It's like, we don't teach these like calendars and 80-20 and systems and hiring and onboarding and like that. That's not what it's about. It's also not about the money. It's not about like the growth and the bragging rights. All that stuff is great. Like a well-run system brings a certain joy to your face, to my face, right? And having money is great. I was actually just talking to my friend the other day, and I used to be like super poor, where I had to borrow money from my dog, which that might be another story for for the podcast. And I was like, I thought, when I get money, it's going to be awesome and great. And sometimes like when you get there, it's not as great as you think, but no, it is just as awesome as I thought, having like money and time. But it's like, this is the reason that we do it, for the story, for the experience of like deeply connected love, like full presence. So the incredible experiences that we have in our life, like, are branded in our brains forever. These are things that can't be taken away. These are the things, again, like what's the purpose? And the purpose is the story. Because after everything's all said and done and we pass away, legit, all that's left is the story that you told through the actions that you took that created the things that you made in order to contribute and entertain and to teach those that come behind us. And so I couldn't be more proud of you, man. And we're starting our journey together, you coming in to level up as a head coach. And like, there's no one that I would trust more with our clients to get them to the next level when it comes to strategizing their business, just because you've done just so many things and done them successfully. Over the past 18 months, I've watched you do that. And so if anyone wants to work with Level Up and with Nish and myself and the rest of our team, you can go to spencerburnett.com/apply, get on a call with one of our workflow specialists. Let's discuss where your business is at, what sets your soul on fire, and then what are the systems and the team and the culture that we need to put into place in order to bridge that gap. So you've got the assets, the time, the money, the freedom of your attention for you to be able to create the stories that entertain and educate and provide value for and wisdom for people that come after you to be able to live their life and kick ass in the same way. And that's how we all rise up together. And so, Nish, thanks so much for coming on. Did you know that you're my first like guest of the podcast?
No, I had no idea about that.
And it's the first episode that isn't just like tragically morbid. I spent the first 7 episodes talking about the tragedy that I just experienced. So thank you so much for being the first guest and bringing some lightheartedness and just your kindness and your integrity and your gratitude for life, man. Like, you're a fucking rock star, man. I love you, buddy.
I love you too. Thank you. And yeah, before we end this, it's an absolute pleasure. Like I said, while I was driving to the office today, I was thinking about this because the first conversation I had with you, so Andrew, the coach in that mastermind, he showed me a profile on a live call because I was telling him I was very unclear back then. I was like, okay, maybe I want to become a mindset coach. I was ready to leave e-commerce. I was like, what the fuck? And I've been doing e-commerce since 2017. And he told me that, okay, have a look at this guy. He calls himself the mindset mechanic. You want to check him out. And I was stoked that, wow, I mean, I've never really seen something like that before. Getting on that call with you and then working with you through Level Up, then the one-on-one. And now, working together, it's just a dream come true, honestly. And me being the first guest, I had no idea about that. So thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. I'm just very grateful. And in fact, I don't have words. So thank you so much for the trust, for the love, for all the support, for the friendship, for the brotherhood, not just in the business, but I've learned so much from you about overall life, be it with my marriage, my parents, my family, my business partners, my relationships have improved a lot. My business has definitely grown. I've become obsessed about systems and processes. I love them. And you've just made me unleash myself in a way that I've learned more about myself. I know myself better than I ever knew myself. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. And I feel a lot smarter now. Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm very grateful.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you so much for the love. And I can't wait for, what unfolds next and the stories that we create through this next chapter in our lives. And so we'll definitely have you back with the new set of adventures and stories and wins and maybe even the challenges that we have so we can do what we're here to do, which is inspire, educate, and entertain. So, all right, brother. Great chat with you.
Cheers.
Till next time,
Thank you.
we out.